Hello, good morning, guys. So, as part of the today's session, let us discuss about master and slave configuration we have in Jenkins. Immediately, a quick question that comes in our mind, buddy, why we need this master and a slave configuration? Is it really required for us to work on any particular Jenkins or mobile automation or anywhere? Yes, let me give you a simple example so that you guys can understand this concept. So here we have a Radha and Sudha. Both are working for IBM. Okay, so maybe Radha is working on a mobile automation and Sudha is not working on a mobile automation, not a mobile automation tester. But both are working for the same organization and both are working for the same project. Maybe Radha is working on a mobile automation and Sudha is working on a mobile manual testing for the same project. So here the comes the situation basically. Usually, if at all you want to run your mobile automation test scripts on any cloud-based platforms, so I can create my test script, and whenever I'm executing my test script, no matter whether it is a SaaS lab or AWS device form, whichever it might be, your scripts will be triggered and executed on that particular devices itself. Whereas the different requirement here is, so we have a Jenkins configured in one machine. And now we want to trigger automation test scripts on a different machine. Okay, so here is the case basically. In Sudha's machine, Jenkins was configured, and I need to create a pipeline basically right after the builds were triggered. Okay, from a development perspective, right after the builds were triggered, I need to execute the test scripts which were enabled or which were created in a Radha's machine. So here the point is Sudha is having a Jenkins server in her machine, and from that machine a call is being triggered to Radha's machine. A call is being triggered. So it means Radha is having a complete setup. The device is connected, everything in her machine, but the scripting invoking part is done from a Sudha's machine. So this comes the Jenkins master and as well as a slave. In this example, Sudha machine will act like a Jenkins master and Radha machine will act like a master slave. The ultimate objective here is I have my automation test scripts configured in my machine and I want to trigger these code base from a different machine. With the help of a Jenkins a master and a slave configuration, we can do that. In order to achieve this complete configuration, we need two machines. The first one should act like a master and the second one should act like a slave. And in this slave, as we are using this Jenkins concept, it's not required to configure Jenkins in this machine. So you no need to configure this slave device basically with any kind of a Jenkins configuration. So only the master machine should be configured with Jenkins. That's it. Only the master machine should be configured with the Jenkins. This is a precondition. Okay. So here in the current situation, I'm just considering a small example and I'm just going to mitigate this situation. So the point here is I have a Windows machine where I'm considering it as a master, and I have a slave machine where I'm considering this Mac machine particularly as a slave machine. Okay, so the ultimate point here is this machine, whichever I'm working right now, has a mobile automation test scripts, emulator, everything is there in this particular machine. And I want to run the script on this particular machine, which is called by the Windows machine. That's it. Perfect. Done the deal. And in order to work on this master and a slave concept, and if the slave is a Mac machine, there are some prerequisites that we need to configure in your Mac machine first of all before jumping on to this complete configuration. What are all the prerequisites that we need to enable as part of this one? The first one is on your Mac machine, enable the remote login. So here I'm just opening my settings and I'm going to my sharing. And on this particular sharing, remote login, I'm just enabling it. Remote management, I'm enabling it. So it's just a button. If we click on this checkbox, automatically it will be in a off mode. So I'm just enabling this remote login and then I'm just enabling this remote management. Both the things I have enabled in my Mac machine. And if you see the remote login, it's stating that to log in into the computer remotely, type SSH space lucky, the username, at the rate IP address. It is asking us to do this particular activity where exactly you want to do this kind of a configuration. See, in my current situation, I want to access this Mac machine from my Windows machine. So I need to type this command in my Windows machine to see whether the connection is being established or not. Perfect. Done the deal. So what I'm going to do right now is, as I have this command SSH space this one, let me copy this command and let me use this command on my Windows machine and check it out whether I was able to perform that operation or not. And now I just started sharing my screen on my Windows machine and I'm opening my command prompt here. And I remember the command that we need to use is SSH space lucky at the rate IP address. So here I'm using this IP address. Okay, so I'm just using this IP address and it's asking my system password. When I enter the password, see here basically the connection with this machine got established. So if you clearly observe this one, Lucky and a MacBook Air. So using this SSH, I was able to establish this connection. Perfect. Done the deal. So this SSH command is working right now. So this is what my second prerequisite is. So what we have done right now, we enabled the remote login first of all. And on top of this remote login, so I just checked whether this SSS is working or not. And on top of this one, as I want to trigger a code base in this particular machine, I want to create a new Java project, and whatever the logic you want to place in that Java project, just place it. So here for an instance, what I have done right now is I created a Maven project with a name as a testing. And in this testing, I just placed only one test runner class. And this runner class, I have a configured with just one print statement. System.out.println. This print statement I have a configured, guys. At the rate test, public void test system.out.println. This print statement. As this is a Maven project, what I'm doing right now means, let me go to the project root folder location. And from here, I'm just launching my terminal and I'm using MVN test and I'm just checking whether my runner class is executing from here or not. See here, I was able to execute this class and the content got printed down to the console. You know, guys, if at all you want to trigger MVN test from the terminal, for sure you need to configure the Maven home and as well as the M2 home. That's what another prerequisite which you need to complete before jumping onto the system. So here, if you observe this step, I created a Maven project and I was able to fire these MVN test command from the current terminal. That's it. These are the prerequisites. I'm done with these prerequisites. Now, if you jump on to the full lengthy steps, what exactly we need to work on. So here are the list of steps that we need to consider. So the first one is you need to, okay, so you need to configure Maven precisely on this particular master machine, as our requirement is to work on a master machine. So you need to use this Maven. Okay, you need to use this particular sorry, Jenkins. So the complete master machine should be configured with this Jenkins. So as my master machine is a Windows, I will be downloading that particular, what I can say, I will be downloading that particular Jenkins.var file and I will use it. Okay, that's fine. So let me copy these steps in the master machine once, and I will switch back to the master machine now. Okay, so I would like to share my screen again on my master machine. This configuration is done with respect to the slave. Now I'm switching back to my master machine. Hence, I'm just sharing my Windows screen now. Okay, so launch Jenkins on a master machine. In order to launch the Jenkins on your master machine, that's the first step. You need to download the Jenkins.var file, place the Jenkins.var file, and after that, use a command prompt, basically Java space hyphen jar space Jenkins.var. That's it. And after doing that activity, let me go back to the Jenkins and I use a localhost 8080. Automatically, the Jenkins server will be up and running. And after doing this particular step, the next step that we need to do is go to manage Jenkins and configure system. And here, usually the Jenkins URL will be pointed to localhost colon 8080. That should be replaced with the slave machine IP address. So here, basically, the slave machine is having certain IP address. I just replaced that Jenkins URL with the slave machine IP address colon 8080. Okay, this is what the next step that you need to do. So change the configuration of the Jenkins URL to the IP address of that particular slave machine. Even the second step is done. Now go to manage Jenkins and here manage nodes. You need to create a new node here, and for this new node, give any name and choose as a permanent agent. For now, I'm not creating a new node. Basically, I'm just going back to my existing nodes. Okay, I'm just going back to my existing nodes and I will open any one of these nodes. So as I have already created one node, I'm just configuring that node here. And the name of that node is a slave one. And the remote root directory, this is a directory where in which the complete logs information will be tracked in a slave machine. This remote root directory is a path that you need to specify in your slave machine. So I'm just using users lucky download app. This is what the path I have specified. And if you scroll down, the usage is use this node as much as possible. I'm just specifying that. And the launch method I'm using as we were able to establish a connection using SSH from the terminal few minutes before, I'm using launch agent via SSH, specify the IP address and login credentials and click on a save. That's it. And whenever you clicked on this slave, and if you go back to the list of nodes, the complete information about that particular machine will be populated here. First, suppose if that information was not populated, go to the slave and here there is some button that it will display for you. Upon clicking on that particular button, automatically this node comes into an active mode. Perfect. And now I have created a slave now. Let's go back to the dashboard and here you can create any new job. So I'm just opening the existing job here. In this particular job, what I'm doing right now means here restrict where this project can be run. In this particular place, I'm just specifying the slave, whatever we have created that particular name. Auto suggestions will be populated. Just pick that auto suggestion. And after that, here I'm using my custom workspace. So if you remember, guys, I have shown you one testing project that we have created in a slave machine. Users lucky Eclipse workspace testing. This is the root location of my source code, which it needs to trigger. I have just specified that. And if you scroll down here, I'm just specifying the Maven version as a Maven home. You need to configure the Maven home in a Jenkins, first of all, before using that one. And our goals, I'm marking it as a test. Click on apply, click on save, go back and click on this build now. So whenever you clicked on this build now, see a 20th execution, the connection with the slave machine is going to happen, and the logic here, what we have created in a slave machine got executed, and it got printed down to the console. Okay, and it got printed down to the console. Perfect. This is the way how exactly we can configure. And now what I am going to do right now is we have created a simple, print statement inside that. Now what I'm doing means I'm just deleting that print statement from that. Okay, I'm just deleting the simple print statement from that class what we have created inside the new testing project, and in which I'm just placing one scenario, one logic inside that. Okay, this logic, if you clearly observe, it's creating an instance to an Android driver. It's trying to log in into an application. It's trying to perform the operation on a particular device. This is what the script I have configured in the slave machine, and I'm cross-checking whether my Appium server is up and running or not, and whatever the device the script is pointing, whether it is enabled or not. That's it. So guys, what I have done is in a previous steps, we created a project in which we just added a simple print statement. Now, instead of a print statement, I have added a complete set of a logic which will be performing operations on an Android device. I have updated my test script in a slave machine. And now, if you come back to the master machine and rerun this job again, build now. This job is building from here now. And let me share my screen in a slave machine once so that you can observe the difference. See, this code is being triggered in the master, and the script is being executed in a slave Mac machine. One after another, step by step, the logic is being executed. This is the way how exactly we need to use the master and as well as a slave concept. And one thumb rule here is, guys, if at all you need to implement this master and as well as a slave concept, both the systems should be connected to a same network. Both master and as well as a slave should be on a same network, then only this logic will be executed. Okay, this is the way how you need to configure master and a slave. If you clearly observe the last execution, guys, I'm not triggering the script in my Mac machine. I triggered this script in my Windows machine using a Jenkins job, and the job itself is triggering the script here, and it is executing the content. Cool. This is all about master and a slave concept. If you like this content, please subscribe to my channel and share it in your circle. Thank you. Bye-bye.